There was a car in the back corner. It looked like the man in the driver's side was sleeping. A man who I thought was my friend. I approached the car to ask him if he'd seen my wife, but when I got closer, it was obvious that he was getting a BJ, and the closer I got, the more I recognized the woman in the car. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled 26 Years Down the Drain. And guys, this story is all about a guy who's with his wife for 26 years. He married her when he was like 18 because she got pregnant, the honorable thing to do. And as you can probably imagine, it wasn't exactly the happiest marriage because, well, things were rushed. But he ended up having 5 kids with her. 5 kids. And like I said, not the happiest marriage, but eventually, you're going to see in this story, a bunch of her friends all started getting divorces for various reasons and became single. And as things usually go, when a woman's friends are all doing something, eventually, she has to do something. And you're going to see in this story here what happens when she gets a little envious of her friends having playtime with other dudes now that they're single. And you're going to see here how this guy busts her doing one of these things I don't need to mention as of yet. And this whole process, how things go, and how he ends up, how this story goes with him and her and so forth, and how absurd it is, her reasoning behind it, and the marriage counseling, all that, just absolutely crazy. So for you guys that think it's a great idea to rush into marriage or anything like that, you might want to think twice about that. So, starts off, he says, "Hi. I understand that we're not allowed to give out names, but I'm guessing maybe full names. I read a lot of posts to try to get the gist on them, but I can't write like them, so vague and to the point. I don't know. I'll try my best. My name is Hector, and I'm 47 years old, Puerto Rican. I think the abbreviation is soon-to-be ex-wife Debbie and I were married for 26 years. We were together for 30. Wow. 30 years. 26 married, 30 together. We had gotten married in our senior year in high school when she got pregnant with our firstborn. I was lucky enough to get a job at UPS right after graduation. We struggled in the beginning. She's from the traditional Irish family and they hated me at first. But I won them over, especially her father. I made sure she didn't have to work. By the time we were 27 years old, we had 5 kids. 4 girls and a boy. I was just fortunate that the boy came out first. 5 kids by 27? You would think after the first one, so early on, they say, all right, no kids, we're going to, save some money. 5 kids? Honest to God. We had our arguments over money, discipline methods, and me complaining about the lack of sex. Lack of sex? You got 5 kids. You guys are breeding like Irish Catholic rabbits. Lack of sex? Doesn't sound like there's any shortage of that to me. I understood we have 5 children and they can be very exhausting. I tried to help out as much as I could, but she was still tired. However, she was my everything. Uh-oh. When guys say their wives or their girls become their everything, that's when trouble usually starts. Because they treat their wives or girlfriends like everything, put them on a pedestal, usually probably take their crap, and that's when they start losing respect for the guys. She always kept her body in shape. I try as well, but being a delivery driver for a very long time, I'm what they call skinny fat. I have a muscular chest, arms, legs, but I have a sloppy gut. I got the horseshoe hairline that causes me to shave it off. Debbie was my everything. Okay, he doubled down on the everything here, and that's not good. There were times she was very verbally abusive towards me, and whenever I had enough and lashed back, she became a cry bully, and I just gave up. Not a good situation. As the years went by, we were the only married couple in our friend group. Every last one of them got divorced. Out of our 7 married couple friends, 5 were caused by, wait for it, infidelity. On the wife's part. 1 was on the husband's part, and the last one, they got divorced because she friend-zoned her husband. 7 couples, 5 of them are because the women cheated. How many times have I talked about, either here or my other channel, you watch out who your wives or girlfriends hang out with, because all her friends are single and like to go to bars and do all these types of things and are wanting open marriages, open relationships and all that, riding the carousel, if you will. It's going to rub off on her eventually. May not right away, but eventually, because they're going to want to get her to join the club and be like them. Okay, and remember, misery loves company. I was against my wife hanging out with the newly single friends. However, they would start a massive argument about me controlling her, keeping her as prisoner, and my personal living SCX doll. Of course they did. They want her to be single, just like them. All that caught me by surprise. The more she hung out with them, the more resentful she became. The kids took notice. I remember when my son and two of my daughters arguing with her when I came home. As much as I understood their frustration, I scolded my kids for yelling at their mom, and when they left the room, I confirmed their issue, and she told me that we see her as a slave. I asked her where she was coming from, but she said, forget it, shut down, and walked away. Oh, so on top of all the drama, she's also terrible at communicating. What a great relationship. I remember D-Day so vividly. Debbie was out with her friends. I was in the kitchen cooking. The kids were watching Train to Busan, and my three oldest came into the kitchen. I thought they came to check on the food, but they all had a concerned look. Before I asked what was the issue, my son told me that they think their mother was having an affair. Of course, at first I didn't believe them. I didn't want to believe it. I yelled at them and told them I was going to prove that they were wrong. Dude, as sad as it is, if your kids are coming to you, your children coming to you to tell you they think their mom is having an affair, that ought to tell you something. But a lot of people don't want to admit reality. They're in denial. And understandable. That'd be a horrible thing to think that your wife is having an affair. I turned on the Where's My iPhone app and saw that she was at a bar on the outskirts of town. I hopped in my truck and I went to prove them wrong. When I arrived at the bar, it was crowded, but I saw her circle of friends in the corner booth acting like drunk idiots. That's what single, middle-aged carousel riders do. When I approached them, they all turned pale, and that unsettling feeling hit my stomach. Since I didn't see her at the bar, I went outside and walked around the parking lot. There was a car in the back corner. It looked like the man in the driver's side was sleeping. A man who I thought was my friend. I approached the car to ask him if he'd seen my wife, but when I got closer, it was obvious that he was getting a BJ, and the closer I got, the more I recognized the woman in the car. I was practically standing by the driver's side window, and none of them noticed me. I lost my temper, I broke the window and dragged him out, and it wasn't civil. Debbie was screaming sorry over and over. I was yelling at her while kicking him. Cops showed up soon, and after that I was arrested for assault and battery. Nobody, in any way, shape, or form, could blame you for that. That's an old school justice, in my opinion. If I was king, that'd be allowed for a guy. But also, then she would be out like that. Kicked out of the house with all her stuff. Never to see her again. But it does go that way. It says, I spent a week and a half in county. I had to go back in the infirmary because I thought I was having a heart attack, but it turned out I was suffering from broken heart syndrome. The news of what I did spread like wildfire. Eventually, my father-in-law bailed me out. The man was practically in tears when I stepped through those gates. He profusely apologized for me for his daughter's actions. It's amazing to me all these stories I do with the father-in-laws or the father of the girlfriends. They really feel bad about their daughter's actions. But a lot of times it's the mothers that end up making up BS excuses for the girl. It's crazy. During the drive home, he told me that he spoke to my manager and union rep about the situation so I can still keep my job. He said that the kids have been staying with him and Debbie was waiting for me at the house. He said he knows what was going to happen, which is why he brought the truck. He was right. When we got to the house, Debbie ran to me crying and tried to hug me. Ugh. I'd say get the hell away from me and use some mouthwash. But I shoved her back so hard she fell on the ground. She looked at me with shock. I told her to get her shit out of my house and I want a divorce. Good for you, dude. She tried to fight it, but her father convinced her otherwise. An hour after they left, my mother-in-law came with the kids and I hugged them all for dear life. She apologized for her daughter's actions as well before leaving. Thank the Lord the mother's on the side as well. He says, now in my state, there's a mandatory couples counseling before granting the divorce. What a load of crap. This guy catches his wife in a car with his friend with his sausage in her mouth, and he's got to go to mandatory counseling. What are they going to do to fix the situation? Well, wait till you see, guys. The counselor that is there, a so-called licensed professional, and her advice on the situation. I want to point out her as a therapist. He says, which in my opinion is complete BS. I don't understand why I have to go to counseling if she cheated. At the beginning of the sessions, I just sat there listening to her dribble. This is exactly what it was, dribble. Blame shifting on the fact that we were young parents and she never experienced the wild lifestyle, the freedom, and she got carried away. Got carried away. It wasn't like it was a one-time thing. Obviously, this was planned. Come on. She got lost in it and her friends encouraged it. Well, number one, I do believe that. What I, again, said in the beginning, but you watch out who your wife or girlfriend hangs out with. They're going to have an influence on her. And probably misery loves company. And two, notice that she's blaming the friends. It's not my fault. They told me to do it. They made me do it. Soon, she felt like she was missing something and she started to fling. The counselor tried several times to make it my fault. Your fault? How is it your fault that she had some dude's sausage in her mouth in a car in a parking lot of all places? Explain that one. Telling me that I should have allowed her to spread her wings every once in a while, and how I needed to see it from her point of view. They're married. In what world does it make sense that a married couple who swear to be to each other, to death do you part, sickness and health and all that, the girl can suddenly spread her wings and suddenly get some sausage every once in a while? Well, you're going to see the therapist is, wait for it, not a man, a woman. And whose side is she taking here? And whenever gals tend to defend other cheating gals, guess what they do themselves? Spread her wings. This woman should lose her license. I just looked at the woman and asked the counselor if she was smoking crack, because that was the dumbest thing I could have ever heard come out of her mouth. Well, a lot of things have obviously come out of her mouth, which is why she's defending your wife. I asked Debbie how long she was cheating on me with him, and she said 4 months, and insisted that he was the only one. Oh, of course. He was so honest and truthful and a great person up until this point. Sure, I'll believe the one time. But it was a mistake, and we could get past this because we have a history. A history of what? Being miserable? So I asked her more questions. Who initiated the sex, you or him? How many times did you go down on him? Did you swallow? Did he do you raw? Did he come in you? Did they fall asleep together? Through her stream of tears, she answered them honestly, and I was quiet for a long while. The counselor tried talking to me twice during this, and I raised my finger. I thought about everything we did before and during her whole affair window. The laughter, the conversations, the sex. Everything, and there was no inkling of her being sad or angry. Well, dude, from your earlier part of the tale, I mean, it sounds to me things weren't so great. I'm not justifying her actions in any way. She's a piece of garbage, but it didn't sound so rosy to me. We were just being us. When I finally did speak, I brought up the times that we had sex during that window, and I called her a WHORE. The counselor tried to correct me, and I told her shut up as I continued to call her every name in the book. I would then call the counselor everything in the book. Eventually, I told her she was tainted in my eyes. Again, the counselor and Debbie tried to convince me that our history and relationship can get past this mistake and didn't want to hear it anymore. This mistake? That's as in like one time. This has been an ongoing thing for months. Planned out, sneaking around, and all her wonderful friends were obviously covering. No, not a chance in hell. It was like they didn't care about my feelings on the matter. Of course they didn't care. They cared about themselves. It was just about forgiving her and what I can do to get over it. And she apologized to her for making her feel like a servant. So I walked out. Good. That's always the best thing, which also makes women insane when guys just walk away. It's the most powerful thing a guy can do. This contested divorce has been a long uphill battle for the past 2 years. 2 years she won't give in. Debbie's still trying to make things right. Still trying to get us back together. I don't know why, because our conversations are strictly about the kids, and when she tries to talk about something else, I hang up on her. Good for you, man. Family gatherings consisted of me avoiding her or not showing up at all. Our oldest children refuse to talk to her. I try to make them spend time with their mom, but they refuse, and I've chosen to respect that. It is their choice. And these are obviously adult children. And it goes to show you this guy's a good guy. Even though what happened, he still doesn't want to tarnish the thing between the kids and the mom. And very easily, she could blame him for turning the kids against her. I'm waiting for that one. My in-laws are at my house weekly, and I know they've been trying to make their daughter give me a divorce, but that has been a bust. My mother-in-law has been especially harsh on her, calling her a dumb brat, gossiping about her to her congregation. I had to ask her to stop because I didn't want the whole town to know our business. Dude, the whole town knows your business. The whole town knew your business, unfortunately, when she was getting down to business in the car with that guy's sausage. I'm sorry to say. During the first year, my son and daughter created a Tinder account for me. I thought that was dumb. It is dumb. You know why? Because Tinder's a cesspool. And do you actually want to go out and have dates and hook up with gals that are like your wife's friends? Those are the ones on Tinder. It says, I'm a middle-aged man with 5 children who has a dad bod. Yeah, I've been on over a dozen very successful dates that have been a real confidence booster. Recently, I met someone during my court issue community service. Her name is Isabel, and she was our Habitat for Humanity supervisor. She's drop-dead gorgeous and won first place for a Vanessa Marcel lookalike contest at a soap opera convention she and her daughter attended. Vanessa Marcel is freaking hot. And I don't know what she looks like now in 2022, but I remember her back in that show Las Vegas in the movie The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. Freaking hottie. But I'm sure she's a hottie now, even though she's probably, 40s. Hottie for a 40-year-old. 40s or 50s, whatever. That's how we started talking. My daughters love watching General Hospital, and I sat with them. To me, this is one of the few times I get to spend with them. I introduced her to her kids 6 months in, and they instantly took a shine to her. To make things really awkward, my son and her daughter appear to really like each other. However, Debbie is not letting go. She actually told our youngest 2 children that eventually we will have to get back together. I had to tell her to stop telling them this. Her father's trying to make her go see a therapist, but I just want this over already. Thank God this guy has support from his kids and also his in-laws. Her own parents are trying to get this guy to cut him loose. He says, I don't regret my years with Debbie. I have 5 wonderful kids with her. I man up and build a life for her. My only regret is she ruined 26 years together on a fling. I regret that she thought that she had me in a way that I was just going to let it slide and take her back. However, I do hate her. When I run into her old group of friends around town, I openly call them WHORES and homewreckers instead of their names. That love and respect that I had for her disappeared when I caught her in that car. She'll always be the mother of my kids and nothing else. I just hope that she can come to terms with that. Good luck. Obviously doesn't have any accountability, but I wish this guy all the best. And I wouldn't be rushing, if I were not rushing to get any serious relationships. You can have fun dating the Vanessa Marcel lookalike and see where that goes, but don't get too serious too soon and take a long time for self-healing. And the best self-healing is always self-improvement. Exercise, going to the gym, spending time with your good friends and family, his kids, all that. Taking it one day at a time. And that's sad, because this guy, as you can see, he married her 18 years old. A lot of guys would have been like, see ya, or go get an abortion. It's not my kid, or something like that. He did what he had to do. And 5 freaking kids. Holy crap. And this is the thanks he gets. Does it mean that he was perfect? Probably not. Nobody's perfect, but still. The best thing she could do, the biggest thanks she could give him is end the marriage and let him go. But who knows what's going to happen. This story is 2 days old, but I'm going to keep an eye on this just in case. So if he happens to stumble upon this, you never know. Bro, you've been through hell, but I wish you the best. You can do it. So we're all cheering you on. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think. Be positive, be supportive, and be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.